too well at the box office? No ma'am. Is The Covenant a good movie? Also no. But when The Covenant came out, it was 2006 and I was 13 years old, which means this movie was made for me. And I ate it up, handed to the right young bitch, cause look at these I mean, white people put their best and brightest forward for this movie, okay? Look at them. I was in the theater seated the day it came out. I remember it like it was yesterday. And listen, while it's not a great movie by any means, the plot does not have much meat on the bones and the characters have even less. They ain't even try to give the characters any real personalities, dialogue, or storylines. The casting call said, fine, show up. And not much of note really happens in the movie. So again, it was not great. But the thing is, it wasn't trying to be a great movie, and it didn't need to be. The movie was very obviously targeted at teen girls and probably gay boys with taste, which is why you have this standard prerequisites. Fine-ass grown men playing teenage boys, hollow romantic interests that young girls can project themselves onto, unnecessary shirtless scenes, magic, and I maintain that even with my 25, 31-year-old eyes, the action and fight scenes held up well. Honestly, for a movie made in 2006, the CGI looks good, but back to the point. And they didn't give you one fine no, they gave you 5. 6 if you count the was just one of their classmate haters, and 5 if you don't count Reed. And I could see if you might not. But look at these. We got Chase Crawford before he blessed the screens as Nate Archibald in Gossip Girl, and we got Sebastian Stan before Gossip Girl and Captain America. And ain't none of them had nothing on fine-ass Steven Strait, who I definitely expected to have a much bigger career than he's had. Hollywood wasted a true heartthrob. Look at this man. Anyway, I say all that to say, the movie is good for what it was going for, and the people it was for loved it. So even though I agree with every single common sense critique of this movie, that's true of a lot of movies that did what the studios wanted them to do. So I'm not quite sure why it flopped as hard as it did. Like, I get it, it's not a good movie, but if Magic Mike could thrive, surely this deserved better. But alas, real no. And y'all about to be some real too by the time this video is over. So without further ado, here is The Covenant. The plot of The Covenant is simple. 300 years ago, back when hunting witches, 5 families of witches. They never call them witches because they think they too masculine to be witches, so they keep referring to it as the power, but them witches. So 5 families of witches fled to Ipswich and became the Sons of Ipswich because they always have magical sons, but when the sons turn 18 years old, they come into their full powers, which they refer to as ascending. But the catch is, because you know they always have to have a catch. I don't know why people can't never just use the magical powers God ordained them without a backlash. So the catch is, when they use their powers, they age bad. Not necessarily die, but they become old and withered, Benjamin Button looking ass in their youth. And so was the fate of the father of our protagonist, fine-ass Caleb Danvers. His daddy was wilding out so heavy, the man only 44 years old, but he looked like withered Voldemort, which then causes mommy to become an alcoholic who spends all her time drunkenly lecturing Caleb about the dangers of using his powers and ending up like his daddy. And in turn, Caleb spends all his time parroting those lectures back to the other sons of Ipswich, who aren't as cautious as he is because their daddies must don't look like prunes. Also, let me say this, Caleb and his mama trifling because they go around telling everyone that Caleb's daddy is dead and they keep the hidden away in the attic in a broken down, scary ass haunted house. But the thing is, there was absolutely nothing requiring them to do that. Caleb's daddy is alive and lying to folk that he's dead and hiding him away, but there's nothing stopping them from telling a different, more reasonable lie, like saying his daddy was his great-grandfather and taking care of him at their home. There was literally no reason why they couldn't have his dad and caretaker in a room at their big-ass crib. There was no reason why that man had to be hidden away in a dilapidated horror movie house. Also, they really ain't even really need to lie to nobody because it's clear that no one enters Caleb's home and they don't talk to nobody but the other sons of Ipswich, so it's like because they blamed him for his condition, they banished this punishment, and now Caleb just drops off doggy bags for this secret. Lord, justice for Caleb daddy child. So Caleb's whole thing is not wanting he or the other 4 sons of Ipswich to end up like his daddy. 4 sons, even though there's 5 families, because one of those families disappeared back in the day, believed to be dead and gone. You know where this is going. The movie begins with the guys in the woods getting ready to make their appearance at a bonfire party, but not before Reed, the self-identifying rebel of the group, who clearly resents that Caleb is the group's head in charge, and he gets the other guys to peer pressure Caleb to use their powers to jump off a cliff to get to the party so that we could have a cool action scene. From there, they go to this dead-ass party in the woods for the sole purposes of 1, having a very exciting car chase in the woods.
Harry Potter can kiss my...
You thought you ate that?
And 2, for fine-ass Pogue's girlfriend Kate to introduce our protagonist Caleb to his hollow romantic interest for the rest of the movie, Sarah. Sarah and Caleb literally meet at this party. They make flirty eyes for 5 seconds. Then the next day she runs into him at the convenience store and decides to go with him to run his errands. And from that point forward, they are in love and he is willing to risk dying, losing his powers for her, and just telling her information that's been kept secret for 300 years. There is no build-up. There is no deep discussions or connections. There's nothing explaining why these two people are all of a sudden head over heels for each other beyond, look how fine this man is. You would run his errands and wife him up in a heartbeat and risk your life for him too if you got a chance. So you know what, baby girl? I understand. They have a few scenes in the movie with the guys hanging out or the guys hanging out with the girls that in no way drive the plot forward. Mostly they're just opportunities for them to show us how good looking they believe the cast is. And other times, they're just wasting your time completely. Because in the beginning of the movie, they devote a lot of energy to showing us the conflict between Caleb and Reed. Because Caleb wants them to not use their powers and Reed wants to.
What will it take for you to get it? It's addictive, you moron.
But that is literally completely irrelevant to the plot. Absolutely nothing comes of it. As a matter of fact, halfway through the movie, they not only forget this was ever a thing, they forget about Reed and Tyler altogether because the conflict ends up being entirely between Caleb and the lost 5th son of Ipswich, Chase Collins, played by pre-fame Sebastian Stan. Chase Collins, whose real name is actually Chase Goodwin Pope, but he's hiding his identity because this is inexplicably evil. Evil as for no reason. We initially meet him at the party in the woods in the beginning of the movie. He's a new student, so is Sarah, and they've both been befriended by Pogue's girlfriend Kate. Initially, the guys are a little skeptical of Chase, not because they think he's the lost son or he's a magical but because this keep flirting with Pogue's gal and he hand Caleb his ass in a swim meet. So Pogue and Caleb decided, ain't no way a regular son in them. They say there must be some evil magic afoot, and you know what? They're right. Despite Chase's identity being a big secret and his family being lost to them for forever and a day, Pogue and Caleb take one little look through some files and discover this Chase's real identity, which is that of an evil. We learned that Chase's mother died when he was 2, then he was adopted by some nice people, and then on his 18th birthday when he ascended, for no reason at all, he just decided to murder them. So now he's back to Ipswich, killing random students for evil sake, trying to get revenge when ain't nobody doing nothing, and with people for absolutely no reason. Like, look how we do Kate. All Kate did is be nice to this. Matter of fact, Kate was playing in her real man face. Fine ass Paul playing in that man face so she could flirt up with Chase. And how did Chase repay her? He infect her body with spiders to try to kill her. But listen here, Pogue ancestors don't play by them. It's like, nah, Chase put Pogue ass in the hospital too. He wicked bad. But because Chase wicked ass didn't kill up all his parents, there was no one around to tell him that if you use your powers, you end up looking and musty feeling like the crip people. But he done too addicted to using his powers because wicked love power. And even though you can't reverse whatever damage is already done, he could stop further damage by stopping how bad he carrying on with these powers. But he ain't into that. So he instead convinces himself that maybe if he takes all of Caleb's power, he'll have so much power that the effects of using it won't impact him. But here's the thing, it don't work like that. And Caleb tells him that it doesn't work like that when he eventually announces his evil master plan, like his name is Plankton. But Chase is basically a magical crackhead with super strength, so he ain't airing that. He tells Caleb that if he don't give him his powers, which will kill Caleb, by the way, then he's going to kill Caleb's girlfriend. You know, that gal he's known for all of 3 days. Let me tell y'all something. The way I would have killed that gal myself just to prove to this Wu-Tang Clan ain't in the with. You think I could give up my magical powers and my life so a bitch whose middle name I probably don't know don't dare? The devil is a lie. But instead, what happens is Chase and Caleb have a big one-on-one showdown at the bar on the night of Caleb's 18th birthday because Chase wants him to give him his powers once he's ascended and is his most powerful when the clock strikes midnight. And Caleb is severely outmatched by Chase in this fight because Chase already ascended. But here's what don't make a lick of sense. As my friend Nigel pointed out to me when I made the household watch this. Sure, Caleb 1 cannot beat an ascended Chase, but you mean to tell me him and the rest of these and jump him? Sure, at this point, Chase has already put Pogue in the hospital, so he's out. But Reed and Tyler are A-okay. So why didn't these participate in the fight? Listen, I know I say I was supposed to be convincing y'all this movie didn't deserve to flop, but this is a rant that I have to get off. What was the point of doing all this hoopla around the Sons of Ipswich as a group if you weren't going to actually make use of the group? The tension between Caleb and Reed over them using their powers would have made sense if it culminated with them uniting as a group to take down Chase, because it would have illustrated both their points. Because Caleb's right about why they shouldn't have used their powers, and Chase is proof of that. And Reed's right that sometimes you need to be able to use those powers, and needing to defeat Chase would have been proof of that. But instead of having the group fight as a collective and easily overpower Chase, Tyler and Reed completely disappear halfway through the movie, and Caleb's mother convinces his father that he needs to give Caleb his powers and die so Caleb could win this fight. Listen to me, they was hell-bent on punishing Caleb daddy, child. Nevertheless, this fight scene still went hard as again. I maintain the CGI held up. So Caleb's daddy dies, and then Caleb powers up mid-fight. And what I found hilarious is this Chase sees a lightning bolt come straight from the heavens and into this Caleb Powerball. And instead of realizing the literal heavens are obviously conspiring with this to murk you, Chase runs head first straight into this fireball and gets obliterated. So Chase gets murked, Caleb saves the gal he barely knows and drives off, apparently having unlearned the lesson he began the movie fully in possession of, and that the events of the movie have proven to be correct. Because the first thing we see Caleb doing after saving old girl is magically fixing the car window with 1 million firefighters in the area, doing the same kind of shit he told Reed not to do that Chase did and got himself up. So the moral of the story, I guess, is probably that his mother was right. Once he turned 18 and ascended, he was gonna start using his powers and showing off just like his daddy. Ain't learn nothing. All in all, The Covenant is not a great movie, but it's a good low-stakes watch if you just want to have a shallow mid-time. Y'all should subscribe to the Patreon. For the people who want to hear me doing all my cursing, we put the uncensored versions of every recap on the Patreon. So do that.